The Legend of Janthu, Ravana's most loyal warrior. Chapter 4. Return to Lanka, the warrior reborn. The journey back to Lanka was different this time. The dense forests, once a mere backdrop to his travels, now whispered to him, their voices clearer than before. Janthu moved through the land with newfound confidence, his senses heightened by the magic he had learned. The winds carried secrets, the shadows danced with his presence, and the very air around him felt alive with power. As he approached the great kingdom of Lanka, the golden city stood as magnificent as ever, its towering walls gleaming under the midday sun. The streets were filled with soldiers, merchants, and scholars, but all who saw him felt an unfamiliar presence, something beyond mere mortal strength. Whispers spread like wildfire as he walked through the palace gates, his armor now crackling with faint embers of fire magic, his movements blending with the shifting shadows. At last, he entered the grand throne hall, where King Ravana sat upon his mighty throne. The hall was vast, its pillars carved with the tales of Lanka's victories, and its ceiling painted with constellations known only to the gods. The air was thick with incense and power, a place where only the greatest warriors could stand. The king's many faces turned to him, each reflecting a different emotion: curiosity, pride, and an unspoken test of loyalty. Janthu, Ravana's deep voice resonated through the chamber, shaking the very walls. "You return changed." Janthu knelt before his king, bowing his head in deep reverence. "My lord, I have walked the path of knowledge and power. I have mastered the flames of destruction and the shadows of concealment. I am ready to serve you as never before." Ravana's eyes, burning with celestial wisdom, studied him for a long moment. Then, with a flick of his wrist, the hall fell silent, all other voices stilled in the presence of his divine power. "Show me," he commanded. Janthu rose to his feet. He took a deep breath, feeling the power course through his veins. In an instant, the torches lining the hall roared into towering flames, their heat washing over the gathered courtiers. At the same time, the shadows beneath the pillars deepened unnaturally, stretching and twisting like living beings. Janthu raised his hand, and the fire swirled around him like a protective shield before vanishing into his palm. Then, without warning, he disappeared only to reappear right before the throne in the blink of an eye. Gasps filled the chamber. Even the bravest generals stepped back in awe. Ravana did not flinch. Instead, he leaned forward slightly, his lips curving into a knowing smile. "Impressive," he said, "but power is not enough. Your loyalty to me must be unwavering." Janthu met the king's gaze without hesitation. "My life belongs to Lanka, and to you, my lord." A moment of silence passed before Ravana raised his hand. The ground trembled slightly as his divine energy pulsed through the chamber. Then he nodded. "Then rise, Janthu. You shall lead my armies to victory. The world will tremble before Lanka's might." The gathered warriors and nobles erupted into cheers, chanting Janthu's name. He had returned not just as a warrior, but as something greater. The path ahead was clear. Glory and conquest awaited.